When I saw this, the theater was a lot more packed than I was thinking it would be, mainly because I didn't know how well it was doing, like people going to see it. And when I knew we were in for a good horror crowd, they played the trailer for the new Exorcist movie that's coming out, and it got a good reaction out of that, which technically that is a teaser for the next trailer roundup. So, planning. Either way, I went to the theater early today and saw Talk to Me. This is the latest horror movie coming from A24. They didn't make this one, they actually picked this up at Sundance earlier this year. So, and this was made over in Australia by Danny and Michael Philippou. I think that's how you say their names. They used to be content creators on this platform, YouTube, and on their channel Raka Raka. They were one of the first channels I subscribed to when I was actually using YouTube, like as a kid, and seeing them come this far is just really incredible to see as someone who wants to get into content creation, you know, as I'm doing right now. Both Danny and Michael had worked on other film sets and just like gotten the experience, and now this is their debut movie. Talk to Me. The premise of the movie is actually pretty typical on paper, something that's actually kind of foreign to A24 these days, especially right after them putting out Beau's Afraid like a couple months ago. The idea is that there is this embalmed hand, which looks crazy, and you shake hands with it, and that's like a gate to speak with spirits, and it's being shown off as like an internet challenge. I think that's what that was trying to come across as, and the spirit would possess you for 90 seconds, and it's a crazy sight. It's actually really unique, and I kind of love it. But this girl ends up keeping the gate open for too long for reasons that the movie describes, and I'm not going to spoil. And now they gotta close that gate and stop spirits from coming in. That's not the most eye-opening premise here, you know, like a possession movie, basically. But it just has such a unique feeling to it because the directors, Danny and Michael, are from Australia, and they are Australian. Everybody in the movie is Australian. So there is this Australian feel to it that is not a bad thing by any means, but it just has this really unique feeling where you're like hearing the slang that they're throwing out. Even the music choices here just really they're good picks. You could get into like the vibe of this movie, like even though they're using slang that maybe you haven't heard before, you can tell what they're saying. And I think that was a very cool thing. I will also say that I think this is one of the only A24 released horror movies that has more of a contemporary feeling to it. Something like, since there was a new Insidious movie that came out this month, something like taking more contemporary, I guess, jump scare oriented horror movies like Insidious, and I'd also throw The Conjuring there, like the best of those kind of horror movies. And then, you know, like the weird typically A24 released surrealist type of horror movies. And it hit a really good balance between the two. The acting across the board is actually fantastic, especially from the lead of the movie, Sophie Wilde. And that is like a really great central performance, and I'm not going to get into what the whole movie's about, because this was a nice surprise. I think Joe Bird and Alexandra Jensen are also really great in this. Everybody does a great job, but those three names I mentioned are like the central performances of the movie that really shine. And I want to talk about the hand again, because I'm fascinated by this thing. You see it on the poster for this movie, and at least for me, I'm sure it's happened to other people, but I've looked at this hand, like, it's this embalmed hand that, on the poster at least, it's stretched out like this. In the movie, it's like a handshake. It looks like it's a handshake. And the thing of just, like, how it looks with all this writing on it, of, like, what I presume to be, like, what the spirits have said, or, like, what they've seen, is really fascinating. And even how, like, you start the process of like seeing this spirit is a handshake. You're meeting a spirit. I think I think that's genius. I really do think that's an incredible idea that really is just like it's something that I would have never thought of. That just now feels, wow, that was really obvious. All the technical aspects of this are pretty great as well. Even, especially the cinematography, there's a cool one take that starts the movie. And also the camera movement in general, it feels very fluid, but not like shaky in the way like a phone's recording it. But like all the camera movements are just really like fluid and just moving around freely, and it really works. I would like to point out that the Philippous do have their next project in the works, and it's a Street Fighter movie, which I think that's a weird jump from a movie like Talk to Me to Street Fighter. But having seen how well some of like the possessions themselves in the movie were shot and the decisions like with the camera and different angles that were made, I feel like this could be a pretty good choice for like an action-oriented movie, especially since having watched some of their short films on YouTube, I believe they're still up now. I think that could end up going really well, so I think this is an incredible starting point for Danny and Michael Philippou as filmmakers. Yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts on Talk to Me. I thought this was an incredible debut from Danny and Michael Philippou. Great. This is a good example of an idea that pretty much anyone, any horror director can do if they want to, but with really good ideas thrown in there, whether it's a great idea with the hand and also just knowing what you're doing behind the scenes and just figuring out how you're going to spice this up. This is a great example of like spicing up a movie to make it seem like, or not make it seem like, it is like made by great filmmakers. That was very convoluted, but you can tell that I actually really like this movie. Is this A24's best? I don't think so. But also the hype surrounding it of being the scariest movie since Hereditary really put some lofty expectations on this, but don't go into this expecting something like Hereditary. I'm gonna give Talk to Me an 8 out of 10. I feel like this is a pretty big standout in horror this year, in a year full of pretty good horror movies, so keep this one on your radar, and especially Danny and Michael Philippou. Alright, have you seen Talk to Me? If not, tell me what your favorite A24 movies are in general if you watch a lot of their movies. I'm a film nerd, so attaching their name to anything just sparks my interest in a movie. Yeah, I know, I'm a film nerd. Either way, let me know what you think of Talk to Me in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video, where the lighting will definitely be better than this. See ya!